Oh wait, we're on. Welcome to Tangent Time. I kind of wanted to like name this random rewrites, but today I just don't give a fuck. So we're gonna call it Tangent Time. We're sticking with it. It's canon, and what I want to talk about today is a lot of controversial topics. Um, Little Ariel, Black One, and She-Hulk, Rings of Power, and this is not controversial, but it was so bad that I have to talk about it. Thor: Love and Thunder. So first thing I want to say, I was actually on the bandwagon where I was just like, why the fuck do I can't like I realized it today. I was like, why do they have to change things that I like? I was like, oh, I sound like my parents now. Why do they have to change? I don't want to learn this shit. What the fuck? Why is these phones? Why is this new technology? And I was like, oh, this is what they felt like, and it doesn't look good. Okay, give people new, because I was like, look as an Asian kid growing up, Fearless, Jet Li, Donnie Yen, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee. I don't know if I said the name, but like they were like cool. And in Korean cinema, I also watched a lot of them, like Lee Byung Yeon and a couple of others that I completely forgot their names of. And I thought they were super cool, and I had like cool representation watching. And but certain cultures don't really have that. They don't have cinema. They don't have TV shows where they're people are properly represented and shown in a really cool light. Always the villain or always the bad guy or the problem. So, Shang-Chi, I saw that movie and I was like, one, it was actually a good movie. And two, I was like, damn, I'd actually would really love this as a kid. And after having a couple of arguments with my partner, I realized she was right. This movie isn't for me. But there's going to be a lot of young girls that watch that and get a lot of joy out of it. I'm happy for them. I think there's a lot of racial tensions that have been growing over the past couple of years, decades. Certain areas of the world, it's already exploded. But I think proper representation like this, so, to humanize everyone, because everyone's a human. Our governments and like cultures and different shit just love to demonize others because, if the enemy's over there, they're not going to look for the enemies within. So, yeah, it's just a classic thing. Yeah, if you live in Asia, you realize the government makes you racist because it's a good scapegoat for a lot of like a lot of things. But yeah. So Black Ariel, I think is good. The one problem that I have with it is nothing to do with the race. The old school Disney films, they were great, especially the villains. Like, let's think, Aladdin. I don't give a fuck about Aladdin. Jafar and William. Oh my god, how could I? How dare I forget his name? Robin Williams as Genie. They made the movie. Mulan. Actually, Mulan's cast was just really good. Pocahontas' cast was pretty much all good because they're just heavy dramas, right? Notre Dame, some of the thing. Hellfire. That's a good song. Hercules was just fun. But all of these guys that like guys and ladies that were singing, they're Broadway stars. And animation is, something more bigger than life, better than life, just a huge surge of fucking emotions. And Broadway singers capture that really well. So that's why those villains like Jafar, like Scar, Be Prepared, like Ursula, those characters were iconic and felt good because they were portrayed by actors that were Broadway stars that do the bigger than life sort of portrayal. I wish the new Ariel wasn't a pop star. Like all of the remakes are pretty much garbage. That's universally fucking agreed with. But like if they made them like Broadway stars, like they made it more into a Broadway into a movie, I think it would be a lot more interesting. I do think the logistics of actual filmmaking, producing, and all this sort of stuff is a lot more nightmarish than anyone actually really gives consideration, and which will go into the $1 billion shitstorm that's Ring of Powers. But yeah, I wish she was not a pop star, and I wish she was a Broadway singer. But outside of that, there's enough racial intention. I'm not even saying take the hit. It's just it's not the end of the world. If like there's more diversity within things. I was pretty much against it. It's weird because I'm Asian. I was like, oh no, I don't want like Asian people in like Hollywood cinema. But the best people should deserve the roles. And now I'm like, you know what? The initial, like Thor 1 sucked ass. Thor 2 sucked ass. Captain America, outside of a couple of scenes, sucked ass. And then eventually got better. You gotta fail to get good. So give them the limelight, give them the opportunities, and eventually we get some good movies from it. So that's my opinion about that. 2, Rings of Power. Now, like I know why they did it, right? Because like an already established name will bring in people. That's why Marvel movies continually sell, because you know what you're going into. And now it's gotten so big that learning what the movies are, then going in it is a chore. It's like D&D. I'm not gonna read an entire fucking booklet to like figure out what the hell I'm gonna do with my character and like what D6s, D20s I'm gonna use. Fuck that shit. I don't care about that. You know? So having an already pre-existing thing where we already know that you've watched it and getting people into it and buying the tickets, like it's a lot easier, right? Or getting them to like do our subscription system is good. Spending 750 million to buy the rights to do that, I think is a little bit you got too much money. And then 2, spending 250 million on CGI and shit like that, and everyone is universally saying it's pretty. And here's the thing: just because it's pretty doesn't mean that it's good. And my primary gripe, like, look, I've watched episode 1 and 2, and I will do my full like talk about it probably later down. But for now, my biggest gripe is I don't mind that Galadriel's head, or even if she's like recasted as a warrior. There's a few things in the rewrite that they chose to do that I felt like was just a massive fucking finger to the Tolkien fans. I'm not like a huge Tolkien scholar, but I like it enough to like that I do reading and I know about like the first Dark Lord and like Yahweh and the song and the sinking and Numenoreans and like I know a lot of the lore. So they did a few choices that I thought was really just like, why? It's like Halo with they decided to take off the mask of like Master Chief, and I'm like, I don't play Halo. I never grew up with Halo. And even I know that that was an incredibly fucking stupid choice to make. Regardless, Galadriel, like who she is as a character, was terribly understood and misshown. And then 2, what was it? Like, I get that they didn't have the rights to fully buy the Silmarillion and all that, and they they could have just okay. I'm just gonna go straight into the recast, like how I would like shoot it. Personally, for me, I would not use Galadriel, because Galadriel in a lot of people is like she's a savior of the people, incredibly wise. She's not a battle-hardened person. She was a very wise person that protected her people, and it was a person that hated the Sons of Feanor from memory. A lot of this shit is probably not canon, but it's just like the logistics of that. The Sons of Feanor did a lot of kinslaying. They killed a lot of people, and by people I mean elves. They're in contextual language, gods. So she hated them. And her brother, I believe, also hated them and fought against them. I don't remember. So now you basically kind of combined the imagery of Feanor, the Sons of Feanor, and the girl Galadriel that hates them into the same entity, which I was like, why? Okay. I don't really understand why, but okay. And then 2, there's been like I saw it in She-Hulk where like a lot, I don't know, but a few of like the movies and TV shows that come out, some of the writers I feel like have the idea that to be a strong character you have to be by yourself. And I want to reiterate, Thor was shit. Captain America was shit, and even that movie basically focused Captain America that I'm not the only guy, it's us as a team, right? Because nobody wants to watch like just a dude just being a god and going through and just defeating everything. And the people like, I like that. Yeah, you like those movies in the 80s, like not Terminator, because Terminator is actually a good movie, but I don't know. I haven't watched the Rambo ones, but like just the male power fantasy of like one guy against the rest of the world. It didn't age well. They kind of suck. they're really boring to watch. And it feels like I'm just watching a dude just jacking himself off. Oh, I'm so great, you know? So now we're getting the female equivalent, but on top of it, they're dicks to everyone around them. And it kind of gets into the territory of Game of Thrones 8, where a smart character is no longer smart. There's also a big problem in like Star Wars and New Trilogy. Everyone has to be stupid for me to be smart. And then when this character has to be smart, this character suddenly becomes fucking stupid and it just flips, you know? It's just the constant stupid bat. Like, who gets to fucking get hit by the stupid bat? Because the writers were like, we just need to move the fucking plot forward. And I go, you. And like, it's a bit of a shit show, really. Like, I honestly, I know how I'm coming off. I have sympathy towards a lot of the writers, directors, and all that, because these things are a lot more complicated than it actually probably seems like to just a regular person. I make video games, or in the progress of making them, and I thought video games were hard to make. I thought one of the games I thought was making, I was like, I'll just take a year. I'm thinking it's probably going to take 2.5, and it's probably going to take longer than that. So a lot of things, especially if it's good, and the amount of rewrites I do on average, when you're under the clock and under the fire and you have a gun pointing against your head by corporates being like, pump it out, but it's not pump it out. Everyone will hear it, pump it out. I feel you. I'm just talking from like an outsider's perspective, looking at it like kind of like in a more friendly sort of way. At the end of the day, it's not to like make enemies. I just generally just want to talk about it. I kind of personally would love it if it wasn't Galadriel, because she's too big of a character, and she's kind of boring to kind of like, if you're gonna have something like in the Lord of the Rings world, it would have been interesting to see Galadriel as a character that you see and Elrond as a character that you see, but it follows the story of someone else. And I love the story of, you know, uh a kid, a young girl, and her brother, and her brother is like the world to her, everything, you know. And then eventually, you know, the bullying scene happens, and then you can have the little light thing, so you don't have to reshoot anything, right? They see that. It's like, yeah, sometimes you have to touch darkness to understand, and that brings up an excellent, like, it's a lot of good thematic ideas that just lack a little push, and then war breaks out, and that's when she's like, "You'll come back to me, right?" Of course, I'll come back. And then, you know, you have that scene where we have more words for death now, and you see, like, you know, her broken. Like, a lot more time should have been dedicated at the beginning to actually give a bit of a like emotional attachment to these two characters, because I didn't care that he died. I didn't care that she she make some emotional attachment, please. And then we fast forward, and then you see her and her men crouching, and instead of doing the guy, like, her men are like assholes that are just like, fuck off, because honestly, like, when you look at it from an outsider's perspective, I'm like, Galadriel's an asshole. Like, I get it that her brother died, but these men I think maybe they're women in it, I don't remember, I just saw most of them were dudes. These men have been like marching, or like elves have been marching for like, I don't know, centuries or something, looking for this shit, and they are tired, and they're like, can we rest? And she's like, no, no, no. And you made her very unlikable. So like, if you just switch it, it's like, Galadriel, like, if you have like that moment where they get up, and then, you know, one of the men slips and she helps them, right? Like, just a bit more further. It's like, and they get to the top. It's like, Galadriel, we loved your brother just as much as you, but it's time to let go. The Dark Lord hasn't come back in like centuries. And I think it is time to let the wounds heal in your heart first before we, like, you know, and like something like that. And she's just like, I can't. They took him from me. I can't forgive him for that. And then you have the troll scenes, right? And I want to say something. Like, when you watch Peter Jackson's elves, like, even in like The Hobbit, like the way the elves move in unison, and these are like cool moves, and like when the like dwarf hogs come in and they all like front lines just concave like this, so the dwarves come in and they all are stabbing and they're all moving in unison. elf armies fight like water. It's like you're watching a stream, and that's what we kind of envision elves fighting. And the way that Ice Troll was just absolutely fucking up, might I add, second age elves, which are functionally gods to like the third age elves that we have in Tolkien. So they should be bust. Like these guys fought in wars against dragons the size of cities and Balrogs on average, and hordes of orc. Like these dudes are like the most battle hardened fuckers on the planet. Also, complete side note here, and just a little bit of a pause. Gondorian soldiers were done so dirty in Peter Jackson's movies. Because, like, if you think about it for a second, right? They were like, oh no, fuck, we're gonna die. If you are a group of men that are fighting on the front lines for centuries, protecting the realm from a Dark Lord and its armies, they are not like, you know, just regular ass recruited soldiers. These are battle hardened veterans, and they will die for a cause. That is what it means to be a Gondorian soldier. And like, I get it, it was a movie and they were trying to, like, you know, make it a little bit more exciting and all that, but I was just like, man, they're doing the Gondorians bad. They look fucking like pansies. Like the Rohirrim, they look cool. The Gondorians, they just look stupid. It's just a bit of a pet peeve. Like, I get it from a writing perspective, but I feel like you could have shown them being battle hardened, but their numbers are dwindling and they're just we're being overrun, and you show like these dudes just like fighting really nobly and masculinely and all that, and just getting conquered over, but they still hold the line till the end. That would have been super fucking cool, would it not? And it would still fit the thematic theme. The last like great kingdom is about to fall and is on the brink of destruction, and not even the greatest warriors can actually fucking protect. It would have been so good. But going back to what you call it, Rings of Power, yeah. Honestly, if it was like a horde of ice trolls and the elves, like the elf units, like we're all just like formation and doing the like swiggly like water like fucking fighting, and they're like, "Where is Galadriel? We have to leave." And then, you know, it comes and like, "We have to go." It's like, "I can't go just now. We're so close." It's like, our men can't hold out longer. Like, you know, like once again, these dudes that survived the war against dragons the size of cities and shit, at least give them a somewhat of a threat, you know? Don't one. And you can't even say, "Oh, CGI, they spent $1 billion fucking dollars on this. They don't get any out. They don't get any out. They spent $1 billion." No. A couple of extra CGI trolls would not have fucking mattered. Or even like a Balrog or something like that. I don't know. Escalating threat. Fucking I don't know. But like something, right? Like an orc horde or like something like that. Probably not, because they're trying to make like individual orcs like more scary or whatever. Regardless. Oh yeah, I basically said that it's not Galadriel, it's just a female. And but like I don't know, noble. For now, I'm just gonna continue with like Tolkien as if it's Galadriel, right? The Galadriel is just like comes out, and then she sees like the ice trolls, and she springs into action, and then she becomes like the spear of the like head of the spear. Her and her men just go through, plow, and just you just watch her in the flurry of blades, like just a female Legolas just going balls to the fucking walls, killing shit. And then you just like, for me, I love my Grimdark Warhammer fans, so like I just see you like this blood spray, like it's about to spray, and she like dodges it, and then the men are just like, "We need to go home." It's just like Justin's like, "No, the men are tired, and this is just for you. Like this is as much as it for you. We can have a rehash. Maybe take the front conversation. Like, we loved your brother too. Thread is gone, and we can't keep on pushing, Galadriel. You have to let go. If you don't, the wounds will never heal, and it is time to move on." You know? And then they're not assholes. They're cool. They're not assholes, and the plot seems the same. You know? They move forward. The racism against Elrond I found to be a little bit weird, because, you know, him and his brother basically saved Middle Earth from memory. They've like fought Morgoth, and I think in that battle they won, and that's why Elrond was granted eternal life, and his brother got granted, like, you know, I don't know, the ancestors of the Gondorians before that, like their island fucking sunk. So like, you know, he's a big deal, and now like these elves are treating him like garbage. I'm like, why you gotta do our Elrond this dirty boy? Like, what the fuck? I don't understand. Hobbits, like, that's just member berries. I really don't give two flying fucks about the Hobbits. Just like, I just don't care. Maybe it's cool, maybe it's fun. Don't know, don't care. Moving on. Um, what else? Wanna see? I'm complaining about the Rings of Power.
Hey, all of my friends said it's actually.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're like passing.
Huh. Well, I'm still
But
talking.
also, they hadn't known. But
I'm
they like Lord of the Rings.
I was actually probably should remake this
Am
video
I
now.
ruining the video?
I'd say the flow is now destroyed. However, I will add.
But now I'm internet famous.
Mwah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bye bye. But what I was gonna say is that yeah, that's why you kind of have to watch the entire series before you make a comment on it. But I'm just commenting on the like number 1 and 2. It's just like a quick rewrite because I was frustrated because I like the battle parts. I like in the battle for Winterfell or whatever in the final one against the walkers. I'm like, why the fuck do you have your artillery on the front lines and you charge your cavalry against a swarm of undead? Why? Anyways, that's kind of like my rewrite, and then eventually, I don't know. She kind of ruined my Steam. I'm just saying, but yeah. There was a lot more, but I can't remember anymore. So that's all you're gonna get. I do want to finish on the note of whatchamacallit, Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, I want to say, a lot of people are like SGU, woke culture, all that, and like, oh, these were like, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was actually really good until a certain point. Yeah, like the buddy cop thing was good until she just came down with the Superman problem where she just became busted, and then once you that busted, what the fuck do you do? So you just have to be off world. Same thing as Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, like the first one, was really good, right? Up till the clock tower, it was good, and then Ares, the god, came out, and I was like, what the fuck happened to this plot? Same as Black Widow. Black Widow was great, and then it got to the end, and I was like, this was a really enjoyable family drama, And I fucking wanted so badly in the second act or something like that for the dad to go up to. By the way, all of this is very spoiler heavy. Probably should have added that at the beginning. But I just wanted the dad to come up to like the younger daughter of like Black Widow and be like, look, I wasn't the greatest dad, but I did try. And then he puts her little doll next to her and it's like, and does the dad thing and walk away because he doesn't know what else to say. And then, when they're doing the family thing, he's like, in the third act, he's just a joke. And I'm like, fuck me, I hated it. And the reason why I really liked Everywhere Anything All at Once was because the dad wasn't seen as a joke. Him putting googly eyes and all this sort of stuff was his way of fighting to like bring a smile on his face through like the difficult times. And I really appreciated that, He's no longer seen as the male like comedic relief of being the loser. And I personally kind of enjoyed that. And I think that you can basically, when you're trying to portray a story of difficulty, of inner strength, and overcoming these, you don't have to have people be just pathetic or useless unless it's actually central to the plot. Tchaikovsky got everything should kind of be useful, or if they don't, that in itself has to be like a point, right? And that's kind of like where I get frustrated with a lot of these sort of writings. So the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is because I think the worst Marvel movie was Eternals. Eternals was so bad. I erased my memory of that movie, and while I was going through the log of Marvel movies, I realized that was a thing. And I was like, fuck, I forgot about this. Eternals is the worst fucking Marvel movie. I don't care what you say about Hulk and all these sort of things. They still had a plot. They were boring. They were a bit bad. Eternals is the worst. And then a lot of them, like Thor 1, Thor 2, Captain America, Hulk, they had a plot, at the bare minimum, they had a plot, a hero's journey, and although it was boring at points and they just didn't give a shit, it's serviceable, right? So I'm like, and that they're bad movies, but they're like, and if someone says they're good, I wouldn't complain about it. Thor: Love and Thunder is, I think, the second worst fucking Marvel movie I've ever seen. Like, just straight up. And I know a lot of people have shit on it, but it's my turn to shit on it because I just want to shit on it. My fucking god. Where do you even start? Like, in my personal opinion, when I look at this movie, because Taika Waititi, I'm just gonna call him Taika. Taika doing this movie, I was super excited. What I feel like he did not get a lot of time, and then the second co-writer basically like, this has to be in the movie. It's like, Jane is cancer. No, but this has to be in the movie. This will break the plot a lot. No, but this has to be in the movie. And this fight scene and all of this. It's like, but in this scene, can we limit the amount of jokes or something and make it a little bit? No. It's in the movie. Because with a lot of Marvel movies, like I said, Black Widow and all these sort of things, it's a good movie. It's a good family drama, or it's a good like synopsis on like, you know, difficulties of being like in a certain ethnicity or all that, and then gone. Third act comes in, big boom, 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 and you're like, you've lost my attention. It's like I'm watching a Michael Bay movie, and I look like a Japanese teen girl. Anyways, yes, it's. So I personally don't think it's Taika's fault, and I'm just a fanboy, so that I'm just defending him. But if it is just that he was just tired and didn't want to make it, I don't know. It was just straight up the worst, which is funny because I think Thor Ragnarok is definitely top 3 favorite like Marvel movies in general because it's just how fun it is and the theme of it. And this one, once again, this is really becoming rambly. It's already getting 27 minutes. I'm gonna fucking upload it anyways. I should really stop saying fuck, eh? Fuck. But what was I gonna say? The theme of Jane having cancer is very fucking heavy for a story like that. Like, that's supposed to be like comedy. Just don't have it. And if you do, that should be the center plot, and the main villain should kind of be seen like, because Marvel doesn't want an actual movie. They want a fun time blockbuster with the family. So Jane dying in a serious way is not acceptable. It's for their standards. I was doing it, sure, but they're doing it, so whatever, right? So for me, I don't think they should have like had the cancer as a plot at all, because it takes a lot out of the viewing experience. The jokes should have been toned down. The goat thing was like, I'm gonna mention it just this once, was so fucking bad. Like this entire movie was just like a long running joke that never ended and just continuously was bad. Just continuously, just, and it's like you're no longer laughing. It's like that friend that keeps on saying the same joke over and over again. And this is not just about the goat; it's just everything. And you're like, can we just have the conversation? Like, no, blah, and then you're like, okay, whatever. That's what I felt about this. Okay, so now I'll actually go into the rewrites. I think that the actual relationship drama was really good. Actually, before I go into that, fuck hell, Thor becoming a man child again, and like all of his like previous like issues and stuff like that coming back out, being a man child, just being a dumbass, not knowing how to understand his emotions, not giving 2 flying fucks about his people, creating a small militia of children to fight an evil god. Like, also they did Christian Bale so bad and dirty. He was like the best actor in that thing, and he was trying hard to be a villain. But there was no investment, and the tonal difficulty. First time you see like this, he sets up the stage really well, right, with the god shit, and then first time you see him against Thor, like he kills a lot of shit off screen, and then he goes to Thor's fishing hamlet or whatever, and you know he lost his kid to gods. And then he decides to kidnap a bunch of them. And the next thing we see him, he pretends to be a boogeyman and scare him. Wouldn't it be better if he was a lot more sympathetic? It's like, I once had a child once, and this is for all of us, all of for you, you know, so that eventually your parents will never be like. But and then the kid's like, why would you take? I was like, you'll understand, you know, like a twisted fuck. But now it's just a boogeyman, like just who the fuck is he? And then with the last time you meet him, you like second to last, and then the last, you're just like, I don't care. And then him like sacrificing all the wishes. Once again, not like using his wish to resurrect everyone, just his daughter, and the fact that they literally went to like a god. Look, I'm going all over. This movie is so bad that it frazzled my brain. They go to a place with gods of all types, and there is like a god of healing, and you're saying that these gods can't heal cancer? All of them? From all of the different pantheons. And you're saying Jane, mod ass lady, doesn't feel the need to ask any of these people, can you cure my cancer? Like, you see what I mean? The cancer doesn't bring anything. But I do think what would have been good for like a fun romp was if like God Killer but tone down his edginess, or do kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy edgy, where he's kind of a joke. And I think that would have been a good thing. Comic relief type villain. And the stakes are there, but like, I'm gonna blow up the world, and they're like, yeah, whatever. And the center point should have been more focused around Thor is lost. Oh my god, the Krog basically. I'm actually very tempted to remake this, but it's like, I don't know. I actually do want to just pump out this video and like stream a bit, so I'm just gonna continue. So I'm sorry if this is like the 50th time I've said this, but Krug, or what, the Rock dude, he's just like the long running joke that just doesn't fucking end. Like, he was funny in one, especially with the rock paper scissors joke, and now it was just bad. But they're basically trauma loading the living shit out of Thor. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, when women are written in a lot of these type of edgelord stories, not that this movie is, but like, it's just it's the R word. That's just what they do to women. And then for men, they just kill everyone that they've ever loved. And a lot of feminists that I talk to, like, about this subject, usually say, yeah, and guess what? The women have to die for the man to have a plot reason to exist. I'm like, you know what? That's good. That's a good point. I saw it as like, oh, he lost everyone that he loved. I was like, yeah, it sucks to be a woman in any of these stories, because you just die horrendously, or you're tortured, or anything else. I'm like, yeah, this is good. That's a good point, right? So that happens, and you just watch them laugh at how traumatic like this dude is. And the same thing they did with I think Hulk and She-Hulk, where the dude lost a lot of loved ones and has gone through a lot of traumatic experiences, and has gone through like suicide attempts multiple times, and she like just kind of shrugged him off. I'm like, yeah, this is a bit yikes. But regardless, in this, and then they trauma load him, and then they revert him back to a kid, and it's like, I don't have sympathy for him. He was a dickhead. And then Jane was like, she had cancer, so I give her a bit of a free pass for like being sporadic, but that was definitely not taken into consideration, I feel like, while the acting was happening. Once again, my rewrite: you take out the cancer, and Thor's lost up in space, and he's doing saving people, and he occasionally does douchebaggy things, but like, it's just like, I'm not feeling it. I thought like going on a grand crusade, doing what I used to do, saving lives, rescuing damsels, this would give me purpose. But I still feel just as broken inside. Because he's lost his dad and everyone and all that, and we keep that trauma, and we kind of like respect it a little bit. And then eventually threat comes up and say, I don't even know who this dude is, whatever, like, I'll do it. And then he gets his ass kicked, and it's like, what the hell? And then his people are like suffering, or kids get kidnapped or whatever. And then he meets Jane, and she does like, something happens, and she does becomes a new Thor, whatever. I don't care about the reason. She does get like the new Thor, and it's just like, oh, that's cool. And then they have that like moment where they talk about, oh, yeah, you wrote a note, and it's like, yeah, you were never there, that's why I had to write the note. And he's like, oh, And you know, and he's like, classic situation where you think you're being you're the victim, and then once two sides of the story come in, he should become a better person and realize, yeah. And then throughout it, they go to the Greek gods, and then he sees how the other gods are, and it has a click moment where he's like, oh, right, gods are usually assholes. And he talks about, you know, I really did want a family with you, but I was scared. He's just like, do you think I'm not scared? You're a god. I'm just a fucking PhD student, or used to be, and now I'm like a physicist and stuff. But you know, I'm just human. You travel galaxies and do all this cool stuff. Like, what happens if you meet it's cool like other dimensional like goddesses, like super hot and stuff? What do I have against that? And Thor's like, yeah, but like, why would I care about them when I have you? You know, like just have that romantic sort of moment. And she just like tears up, and he's just like, I'm sorry that I left, or functionally wasn't there. I lost my father. I lost I lost my brother. The kingdom was destroyed, and yeah, my people are on. And I just I couldn't lose you either, and I guess that made me lose you in the end, regardless. You know. And they both cry like bitches, and they get together and all that sort of stuff, and the villain comes out, and then he's just like, well, emotional resolves, though, like, you know, not that they would actually do it, let's go have sex afterwards, because reconciliation sex is awesome. So he just goes and they just defeat shit, and then in the future they basically see, like, you know, Lil Thor, and you know, you see him find happiness, and you see that he found happiness because he decided to be the bigger man, and accept that he fucked up, and that in the sense that, not that he fucked up with the trauma, like the fact that like you push away the people you love, and the people that you love usually have the tendency to like have the power to hurt you the most. So he was afraid. Do you admit that as a, like, even a god can be afraid and fearful, and admitting to that, becoming the better man, and embracing it, being vulnerable to Jane, and Jane finally opening up a little bit more to him, and then both them reconciling, having a kid together, and then they're going on their adventure with their fucking kids, and like, you know, mighty Thor family, you know? It'd been nice. Would not? It would have been a nice and fun little romp. I would have loved it. Nah, and then instead we got this like shadow dude that has massive tonal issues. The cancer story that just doesn't make any sense, and also like, why can't it get cured? And Thor's an asshole, and the jokes are so bad, and the goats fuck me, and they made Star-Lord look like an adult in this. Which, to be fair, I guess, because, you know, the dude did go. He's like a Thor character, but like written a lot better. Because, you know, went through a lot of trauma, but he did it. Like, even if the cancer plotline did exist, Jane and Chris Pratt should have had like a conversation, like, I lost my mother to cancer. My dad gave it to her. I'm sorry. I really don't know what to say. It's like, I don't either. I don't know, like, you know, how any of this works, but, you know, I don't know what sort of, like, once again, I don't even know what angle you take. Life finds a way to a person that's dying. Like, I don't know. I feel like Taika was done dirty. He's like, hey, cancer shadow dude that's super edgelord wants to kill gods, and Thor has to revert back to original Thor. You're like, look, I'm a pretty good director, but I'm not a god. How the fuck am I supposed to make this? Anyway, that was my rant about racial diversity in current day. Some of the problems I feel like with a lot of writing characters of dumbing other characters down to make one character seem good. But at the end of the day, having more representation and having a couple of bad movies so that they have the chance to actually make good movies, I think is actually really, really important. Rings of Power was bad. Partner said that apparently is good, but they also don't really care about the lore. And to be fair, if you come into something without any expectations, without understanding anything, I guess it's fine. It's like the Gondorian thing. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it, you know? So my hope is just they don't do that to StarCraft or Warcraft remake. And I mean Arthas and like Sarah Kerrigan's Rise to Power. Like, I would die. I need to become a director just so I can make those 2 movies or 2 TV shows. I just really want to. That's that's my life dream. I realize what my dream is. I want to make the fucking story about Arthas becoming the Lich King, Sarah Kerrigan becoming the Queen of Blades. Those are just the 2 stories that I just want to tell. I just really want to. I just really want to write them. Meh. But yeah, and also rewrite of Thor. That I feel like it should have just been an emotional rom-com of Thor actually finding some happiness by admitting to his flaws and fears, and being vulnerable to his partner, and actually having a good thing instead of trauma loading him more and then just having a random kid pop out of nowhere where he's like second worst Marvel movie. And if anything, that means a lot to how bad Eternals is. I babbled on for like I think 2 hours because I think this is my third take. So yeah, you're not getting another one. But the one dude or girl that might watch this, I hope you enjoyed. Bye.